Captain Marvel stands to be a huge hit. Now, I love what this movie stands for. Hollywood, of course, needs more female-led films, but especially in the superhero genre. I think that is such important messaging to get out there, but I didn't love the film. But you are our chief film critic, so I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, Elizabeth, I'm really curious to hear yours. I'll tell you, I really liked it. And there has been already some major negative pushback on this movie, and I'll tell you why I'm a little mystified by it. 2 years ago, Wonder Woman came out, and the critics of 2 continents lavished praise on this movie. I didn't hear a bad word about Wonder Woman. I personally think that Captain Marvel is a more fun and more fascinating movie than Wonder Woman.
We made you one of us, so you could live longer, stronger, superior.
It has a very original take on the origin story, in that it's really a drama of identity. Brie Larson is playing Carol Danvers, but she doesn't find out for a long time who she is. She thinks she's this Kree warrior. And the way that she discovers her identity, almost unplugging herself from this matrix of what she's been taught, I found that to be a journey that really held me.
I think the journey was confusing. The first half of the film jumped around a lot. The second half of the movie, I found myself really having a lot of fun. There's this whole kind of 90s nostalgia that I love. And I also really loved when Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson really teamed up. I thought their dynamic was great. So there were moments that I liked, but I just felt like it took a long time to get in. I felt like it was a bit predictable, and I felt like it was also a bit cheesy.
Name a detail so bizarre a Skrull could never fabricate it.
Toast is cut diagonally, I can't eat it. You didn't need that, did you?
No, I didn't, but I enjoyed it.
Well, you know, I really liked Samuel L. Jackson in this movie. He has been de-aged by about 25 years digitally so that he can play Nick Fury in 1995. And I thought that visual gimmick actually did a surprising favor to his performance. He seemed lighter and perkier than he usually does. He seemed different, and I like that, and I thought he and Brie Larson had a great chemistry. But look, what I like about Captain Marvel as a movie almost ties into the confusion factor in a certain way. I do think the opening 20 minutes is a little bit off-putting and awkward. I was going like, where are we? What is this about?
So was I.
The movie proper doesn't really start until Carol Danvers lands on Earth. But what I liked about it is it's not just another fish-out-of-water superhero comedy like Thor. There is a head game aspect to it. You're kind of trying to figure this out along with her. And I thought that really worked as a kind of metaphor for the female empowerment that the movie's about, in that this is the story of this person who has been taught this whole set of things, and she needs to unplug from them and say, who am I now? I thought that was a pretty interesting voyage for an origin story to take.
That's the exact part where I started to really enjoy the movie. I loved when she really kind of discovered herself and, like you said, what she can do with those powers. No Doubt started playing, and she was really kicking butt. I loved that. I loved how she had this really nice relationship with her friend's daughter, and I think that actually speaks a lot to society. There are going to be young girls that age who are watching Captain Marvel and saying, I can kick butt too. So I really did love what it said for female empowerment. I just thought that the movie had some issues.
I thought it was because the inner journey she had taken was a genuine one, and I think what makes it all work is Brie Larson. There is an expressiveness to her presence, and also a vulnerability, because there's many points in which this character is really kind of downtrodden and just beaten down by what's going on. And it is about how she has to kind of come to grips with who she is and triumph over that. And I thought Brie Larson was just terrific in it.
I do want to point out one of my favorite parts, which was such a subtle line, but at the very end, Jude Law's character says to Brie Larson something about, why are you always so emotional? And when he said that, I thought to myself, this was so clearly written by a woman, and of course this film was written by Anna Boden, who also is the co-director, and I think that was such an important moment. It was subtle, but you know, oftentimes women are criticized for being too emotional.
Right.
And I feel like that's really when you saw her kind of succeed and triumph, and I loved that. It was, again, a very small moment, but that part really stuck with me.
I just think this is a much more interesting origin story than I have often seen, And I think it moves this character of Captain Marvel right to the forefront of the series. She really does seem like a vibrant character. And I would argue that Brie Larson in this movie has presence and maybe a little bit of soul.
Aren't you the cutest little thing? Aren't you cute? And what's your name, huh?
Carrie.
What's